Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar. Today, we're going to talk about the commercial rooftop solar design and installation. My name is Wolfgang Sun, and I would like to take about an hour of your time to talk about the design and installation with Galaxy product. We understand that a design and installation process is a very important step during any solar development process. The quality of your design impact the project cost and time, and also the quality of the installation impact the warranty issues, and also perhaps will impact your liability after the project being completed. Galaxy product considers the building needs while designing the product. So perhaps the application of Galaxy product will save you time and money in your process. Today, we're going to focus on the commercial rooftop PV systems with Galaxy. We're going to focus on the array side of the design installation, but we're going to not left anything out. Hopefully, after this webinar, the EPCs and PV professionals will have a deeper understanding of our Galaxy product. The whole webinar will be in 3 sections. Firstly, we'll give a quick review of the Galaxy product, and then I'm going to talk about the design and installation. And after that, we'll have a short discussion session for your questions. During the webinar, please feel free to use the question box to leave your questions, and I'll address them at the end of the webinar. Now let's move to the recap of the product review. Galaxy series is the third PVBM product from GoodWe. It's the first lightweight product that has a waterproofing membrane integrated onto the product itself. It does come with all these special characteristics. Firstly, it's very light and thin. This opens up new possibilities for application scenarios. Secondly, it's waterproofing membrane integrated. So with this waterproofing membrane integrated into the product, a new installation method comes into play. Thirdly, it's very durable. With a special layer built into the product, the Galaxy can face harsher environment and perform better than similar products. It weighs only about 6 kilograms per square meter. We understand that most industrial warehouses and factories have somewhat structural issues for PV applications. And most PV products right now in the market cannot meet the structural demands for these types of application scenario. This in turn increases the cost of the whole project because you need to strengthen the roof before installing the PV product. A good solution for this will be to reduce the whole weight of the PV project. Galaxy is born to do this. It's also integrated with waterproofing membranes on both ends of the product. We understand that destructive installation methods will create potential damage to the roof waterproofing functions. And if you have a leaking roof after the PV installation, you might be liable for the damage in commercial scenarios. Galaxy product is installed with hot air welding installation method. It does not penetrate the roof and it does not require any accessories. So you will have an easier project management process, and also you will be free from corrosion coming from metal installation accessories. And also your roof will be always watertight. Thirdly, the Galaxy product is built in with a 1.6 millimeter tempered glass. It does this layer of glass conquers deformation that's often seen in similar products. It also helps improve the water dissipation on the product surface, thus taking away the dust accumulated and have a better performance. It also increases the snow load in extreme weathers. The placation scenarios can be seen from here. Firstly, it targets low structural load roof systems. And perhaps if you have a leaking roof that's already have a leaking problem, with the waterproofing material built into the product can come in very handy. Thirdly, if you already have a single ply roof that with waterproofing membrane built on it, the Galaxy product can be applied directly onto the roof. Not to mention regular roofs from industrial and commercial spaces can also be applied with Galaxy product. Now let's move on to the design and installation of Galaxy. A short process of a solar development process can be shown here. I really simplified the development process into 5 major steps, but you might have additional steps with it. For example, you need to acquire grid or council approval, and perhaps you gotta consult your legal representative during the contract signing process. That's not without the scope of this webinar. Let's move on to feasibility study. Feasibility study is perhaps the most important step in the PV development process, because that's when you acquire all the information for your project. In this topic, I like to address 2 points. Firstly, during the feasibility study, we need to consider the waterproofing needs for your roof. And secondly, we need to consider the electrical considerations for your PV system. This is not to mention that structural consideration is not important. Right now, we assume that you have already consulted your structural engineer before the steps begins. For feasibility study, you will need drawings for the PV project you are doing right now. For example, you might need electrical drawings, cable routes, or underground cable routes, which is more important if you plan to dig a trench. And you might need structural drawings for your structural engineer. And also, you might need some information from the customer, perhaps your load analysis of the customer's factory or warehouse, energy tariff and rates, and grid connection limitations from your local grid operators. Note that Galaxy product does not have any metal frame on the product itself, so the Galaxy array does not require earthing, but earthing of the roof might still be required according to your local regulations. During this step, you might need to have a site visit if the customer does not provide sufficient information about the project, and a site visit with a drone can be very helpful. During your site visit, it's very important to take plenty of photos. And some key point of interest might be a metering equipment, main switch, subboard, access to your grid connection point, and also to your roof, a cable route for the whole system, and spacing for your equipment. It's very important for you to take plenty of photos before you leave before you left the site, because the only regret will be you did not take enough photos to acquire enough information if you realize afterhands. I would like to add that the structural photos for your structural engineer is also very important, but it might be less important for Galaxy projects. Secondly, let's move on to engineering and design. For Galaxy Array, it's very easy. You'll have a 300 millimeter spacing between the junction box side of the array and 170 millimeter spacing on the tail side of the array. And you'll have we do recommend a 30 millimeters spacing between adjacent Galaxy products. The 300 millimeters spacing is for your maintenance pathway. And I like to mention that this is our recommendation only if your local regulations have additional requirements, they should be respected. And after that, you could have a detailed engineering drawings. For example, you might have a layout drawing, a string allocation drawing. You can also contact us about the recommendations on this as well. And you will be able to create a cable route, inverter location drawings, and a bill of material for your whole array. Speaking of bill of material, a Galaxy product can be installed with no additional accessories. The whole installation process is done with only 2 tools showing on the screen right now. The one on the left is the hot air welding gun, which melts the membrane attached to the roof and the product. And the one on the right is the roller that press the 2 materials together for them to cool down. I'm gonna play a short video after this. Notice that the whole installation process does not create any penetrations and does not need any cutting of materials on site. So there's no risk of corrosion, penetrations, and swarf stainings, which might lead to roof leaking. Oh, sorry, let me get back to it. Yeah. So the installation process can be done very easily with one person. There's quite nothing much to it. But basically, you just need to use the hot air gun and roller to attach the 2 waterproofing membranes together. Firstly, you need to be sure to check for rival products. Even though we designed this Galaxy product very carefully, and as well as the packaging of the Galaxy product, please check for the boxes for any damages during transportation. Please do not walk on the Galaxy product. It's not designed to be walked on, and that's why we have left a mandatory spacing between the array, the product in the array for maintenance pathways. I check the product for integrity check. Make sure that there's no damage on the product surface, and check the connectors on the product before using the product. On-site storage, you shouldn't stack the Galaxy product more than 3 stacks. That means it's best to leave the product in the box and take them out as you use them. And please avoid having the PV cell side attached to any hard object. Before installing the Galaxy product, you should make sure that your roof is flat and clean, especially from oil, and it doesn't contain any metal debris on the roof surface, because this might interrupt the bonding process of the TPO material. You should always check for bonding strength before proceeding with the installation. You can check this by using the hot air welding gun to weld the TPO membrane onto a spot that's not designated for the array, and then pull to test the strength of the bonding after 2 minutes. Please note that the installation process should be only taken when the environmental temperature is above 5 degrees Celsius. Please move the Galaxy product with 2 persons. Avoid bending the product too much, over 300 millimeters in specifically, and you should try to move the product in a vertical position. During the welding process, it's best to weld a width of at least 25 millimeters, as shown here, with a welding temperature of around 360 to 400 degrees. Once again, if there's any local standard or regulation requiring a different temperature, please respect that temperature for TPO installation. And lastly, if you like to remove or replace the product, simply use a utility knife to cut the TPO side of the product and remove the PV part of the Galaxy. If you like to replace a new PV product on top of it, simply hot air weld the TPO product into the position. Let's come to commissioning and testing of the whole system. GoodWe does provide a range of communication products and mobile apps for export limitations, functions like weather station integration, SCADA integration, and rapid shutdown function. Please talk to us for more information on this. And lastly, you will need to hand over your project to whoever is operating your PV project, or to your new owner. You might need to prepare some documents for it. For example, single line diagrams, as-built drawings, product manual, product data sheets, list of components with serial numbers, quick shutdown instruction in case there's an emergency case, and a standard warranty for your product use in the project. It's also worth mentioning to have some of the drawings prepared on site for inspection and testing, and also to have sufficient labeling for inspectors to understand your project better during inspections. Now let's do a quick review of the Galaxy. We understand that in commercial and industrial projects, structural load is always an issue. Most of the regular PV systems cannot have a sufficient structural load for the demanding warehouses and factories. But Galaxy product is only 6 kilograms per square meter. Waterproofing for this type of project is very important. Thankfully, Galaxy product has waterproofing membrane integrated, and electrical design can impact the cost and budget of your PV project. A frameless design does not include any metal part in the product itself, so you don't need to design for earthing of the product frame. And lastly, on-site management during installation process can have additional cost for you. So penetration installation method will mean that you will have less hassle after the project being completed. So there's more applicable rules for Galaxy product compared to other PV products. You have a very simple installation process and no earth, leak-free, worry-free. Let's quickly have a look at one of the projects that's already been completed with Galaxy product. So this is a single ply color bond roof. It's about 1,800 square meters. And it's already covered with 0.8 millimeter thick TPO material onto it. So this whole project used about 722 pieces of Galaxy, and it's around 220 kilowatts with two 100 kilowatts GW100K ETC inverters. It's estimated to have a first year production of 217 megawatt hours. From another side, you can see that the roof is filled to be flat for testing purposes. So it's quite neat and easy. Another installation case shown here. So this whole project is around 500 square meters and took about 6 days to complete. So that's an average. This includes the treatment of the roof. So on average, the installation speed for Galaxy product is around 6 minutes per piece. Notice Galaxy product is also compatible with microinverters and optimizers. As shown here, the cover, under the cover, near the junction box side, it's microinverters for this project. I think that concludes my webinar. So I'm gonna answer any questions you might have, and feel free to have any discussion you might have. So to answer Abid's question, is it step over? If you mean, can you work on it? Then no, you cannot work on it. So to answer Zuhaiya's question, how long is hot adhesive stand, especially for hot or cold weather? So that you might have to address this question to your local TPO professionals, because for different type of TPO product, the solidation process take different time period. So you might need to talk to them about this. But usually, it will take less than 4 hours, I think. Zuhaiya had another question. What's permitted difference in string length between different MPPTs? I think in terms of string length, you might have to consider the maximum voltage allowed for that string. And also you need to consider the orientation of your string. So for different MPPTs, definitely you need to consider the maximum and minimum voltage allowed for your inverter of choice. Please note that Galaxy product does allow a maximum of 1500 volts for string voltage. I think that's sufficient for most commercial installations. And if my memory is correct, most commercial inverters does have around the same voltage limitation for string voltage. Victoria Terry have a question. What should customer consider when deciding on the perfect spot to install the solar? In terms of a Galaxy product, as long as you have a good solar access and have sufficient product load, then it will be a good spot to apply the Galaxy. Remember, Galaxy product does have a wind tunnel test for wind uplift resistance test. And the uplift pressure is around 4.2 kilopascals. So it can withstand most wind conditions as well. Oh, hang on. There might be someone with a verbal question.
Hello.
Hi.
Yeah, hi. I'm Jazur here. I need to
Yeah.
know actually what size, what kind of voltage and the currents it can handle.
For Galaxy
Voltage.
product?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Galaxy have a current of around 13 to 14 amps. I think 13.7 amps, and voltage of around 37 to 40 volts, depending on the temperature. So it's compatible with most common modern inverters. It's used 182 millimeter cells. Yeah.
So how many you can put for about 400 volts? You can put 10. You
Yeah,
can
around
put
10.
10.
Yeah, around 10.
But
Yeah.
but OC is what?
Sorry?
Over currents and the maximum voltage it can go, short circuit current and
50 volts for the string voltage for Galaxy product.
uh-huh.
Yeah.
No, what I want is actually this thing what you call the maximum voltage it is generating itself. The what you call the peak voltage which is giving, there's a maximum voltage that all panels have. So
Not quite sure I understand your question, actually. So do you mean you're asking about the maximum power point voltage or?
yeah, maximum
Yes?
maximum power point voltage is what? That's
I'll say around 32 to 33, if I remember correctly. But if you're really interested, please leave me your email address. I can send you a copy of the
okay.
data sheet for Galaxy product after the webinar. Yeah.
Yeah, I will put my email, right? You
Yeah.
you can put
Yeah,
email,
please leave your email in the question section so I can send a copy. Yeah.
Is there any
So
possibility that we can because of the hot welding,
yeah.
because of the hot welding you are using, it is sealed around all around the panel, right? Each panel, when you are
Mm.
connecting two panels, it is sealed from water.
Oh,
Is it?
so the TPO material is only attached to both ends of the product, as you can see on the slides right now. So on the left side of the right side of the product, there's TPO material, but there's no TPO material on for this picture. What will be the top side and underside?
Are we able to use it in a roof covering, like roof covering without roof? If the structure is there, is it possible to seal the roof?
Is it possible to seal the roof?
Yeah, use it as a roof.
Yeah,
Is it?
so for commercial roofs, the waterproofing construction process will be applying a layer of TPO membranes onto the roof for waterproofing construction. So you will need to have a waterproofing layer beforehand, before you apply the Galaxy product. Now, if you do not mind, I would like to address more questions from other attenders, but I'll send you a email for your further questions. So Trida have a question. Can we install these modules with tilt in module mounting structure, or this meant to be installed in flat surface? That's a very good question. So for tilting of the Galaxy module, you'll need to have a tilted surface. In case of a tilted surface, I'll say there's different requirements for different countries. So please feel free to send us an email with your specific questions and requirements, and we'll provide a comprehensive solution to your question. I think Raja Kumar have a question. I'm not too sure if I pronounce your name correctly. What's the cost saving for Galaxy products compared to typical framed type of PV modules? The cost saving of a PV project in general is largely affected with the price of the electricity you can sell from your generation, and also depending on how you incorporate on the business side of the PV project. For example, if you have a power purchase agreement or roof leasing agreement with your customer, then the cost saving or cash flow will be very constant. And if you have invested the power plant by yourself at a certain rate, then the return might not happen within a few years of the PV project being completed. So I'll say, to answer your question, we might need additional information. For example, how much you sell your energy locally or in your mind, in your area, and how much it costs to apply the Galaxy product. But please feel free to send us an email. The email address is pvbm@goodwe.com, and we can answer your specific question by replying to the email. Randy have another question. Has the roof system and PV layout been coordinated to facilitate maximum solar output, maintenance, and safety? Yes. So if I understand your question clearly, you mean, has the recommendation on spacings between the Galaxy product satisfy the need for solar output, maintenance, and safety? If that's the question, then yes. So the solar output really depends on your solar axis and your tilt angle or orientation of the array. Maintenance is considered. That's why we do have a minimum recommendation for spacing between the Galaxy product, and safety of the product as well for spacing and replacement when you need to access the array from the roof. So I'll say yes, but that's my answer. And if you have different opinion, feel free to send us an email. The email address is, once again, pvbm@goodwe.com. Zuhaya have another question about Galaxy efficiency and lifetime. So at GoodWe PVBM, we design our product to meet the building's needs. That means the design life of our product will be at least 25 years. We like to have our product have the similar life cycle as a building itself. We understand that most roofs or metal roofs on concrete roofs in this manner will have a shorter lifespan in some environments. So that's really a question about where you are and how you define your building lifetime. And Galaxy efficiency, it does have a 174 watts per square meter, if I remember correctly. So I think you might be able to work out the efficiency of Galaxy product from that data. If you have further questions, just send us an email at pvbm@goodwe.com. What's the time now? So there's actually 20 minutes time. If you have any further questions, feel free to leave them in the question section of the webinar. If not, I might stop the webinar for now. All right, thank you everyone for your time, and hopefully we'll meet again very soon. Thanks and see you. Right, our email address is pvbm@goodwe.com.